At 81 years old, I can tell you exactly which worries destroyed most of my life. And almost all of them were imaginary. I'm sitting here in my office today, looking at these books and these old files, and I realized something that should make you very uncomfortable. Most of what you are stressed about right now, the things keeping you awake at 2 a.m., won't even be a memory by the time you reach my age. You aren't stressed because your life is hard. You are stressed because you are giving your soul to things that don't deserve your energy. If you're in your 40s or 50s, you think this office, this career, and this hustle is your legacy. You think you're building a monument. But at 81, I can see the truth from the finish line. You aren't building a monument. You're building a cage. And the worst part? You're the one locking the door from the inside. I spent thousands of hours in this chair chasing ghosts, and if I could reach back through 30 years and shake you by the shoulders, I would. I wouldn't tell you to work harder. I'd tell you to wake up before the clock runs out. Here is what nobody tells you about the autopilot life. It feels responsible while it's killing you. I look back at my middle years and I see a man who was a master of his schedule but a stranger to his own life. Wake up, work, pay bills, impress people, repeat. I called it discipline. I called it providing. But let me tell you something uncomfortable. Later is a thief. Later is the lie you tell yourself so you don't have to face the fact that you're miserable today. At 45, I thought I had all the time in the world to be happy. At 81, I know I didn't. Years don't just pass, they disappear. Efficiency replaces presence. You think you're managing a career, but you're actually just managing a slow exit from the things that matter. One day, you'll look at your kids and they'll be strangers, and you'll realize you weren't actually there for the parts that counted. You were physically in the room, but your mind was on a spreadsheet. You were there, but you weren't present. Is that you right now? Are you actually living your life, or are you just checking boxes on a list that someone else wrote for you? Let's talk about the poison of pride, because this is where most of you are losing the game. I spent my 50s winning arguments. I wanted to prove I was the smartest person in the room. I wanted the last word. I thought winning made me strong. It didn't. It just made me lonely. At 81, I don't care about being right anymore. I care about being at peace. Winning an argument with someone who is no longer here is the loneliest victory you will ever experience. And here's the reality you need to hear. In every conflict, you have a choice. You can be right, or you can be in a relationship. You rarely get to be both. If you're holding a grudge today just to protect your ego, you're paying a price you can't afford. Your ego is a luxury that becomes an unbearable burden in your later years. I wish someone had shaken me at 50 and said this: nobody cares that you were right. They only care that you were kind. Now let's look at the money. I spent years worrying about the number. I thought wealth was a shield against anxiety. But let me tell you something I learned too late. Anxiety doesn't care about your bank balance. I've known millionaires who were terrified of a future they couldn't control. Security is a myth you buy with your time, the only currency you can't earn back. At 81, I stopped caring about more. Beyond a certain point, more money just means more noise. The most expensive things I own today didn't cost a dime. The light in this office. A conversation that lasted too long. The feeling of being completely still. Those are the only assets that haven't depreciated. If you're sacrificing your health and your family for a number in a bank account, you're making the worst trade of your life. You're trading a diamond for a rock because the rock is shinier. Let me tell you something else that people are too polite to say. You are not as relevant as you think you are. For people in their 50s, this is terrifying. You feel the younger generation pushing you. You see the world moving faster than you can grasp, and you fight to stay at the center. Stop. There is a quiet, profound dignity in stepping back. At 81, I'm not in the race anymore, and it's the greatest relief of my life. I don't have to prove I still have it. When you stop caring about staying relevant to the world, you finally start noticing the beauty of the world. The world doesn't need you to lead it. It just needs you to be awake while you're in it. I wasted so much of my youth waiting for the perfect time. I waited for the kids to grow up. I waited for the market to turn. I waited for a sign. At 81, I know there is no perfect time. There is only now, and then there is too late. The gap between them is much smaller than you think. If you're in your 50s, you still believe time is expandable. You think you have another 20 years of high energy. You don't. Every year you spend waiting is a year you are throwing in the trash. The conditions will never be perfect, but the clock will always be ticking. I stopped caring about the what-ifs. This is the disease of the middle years. What if I fail? What if they laugh? What if I lose it all? At 81, the only what-if that haunts me is, what if I had actually tried? Failure is just a bruise. It heals. But regret is a shadow that grows longer every day you get closer to the end. Most of the things I spent decades fearing never actually happened. I spent years suffering in my imagination for problems that stayed in my head. Don't pay interest on a debt you might never owe. If you're going to suffer, at least wait for the problem to arrive. I also stopped caring about being fine. We spend our lives wearing a mask of competence. How are you? I'm fine. We hide our struggles because we think it makes us look weak. But at 81, I've learned that vulnerability is the only door to real connection. When you stop caring about looking perfect, you finally allow people to love the real you. A polished life is a cold, lonely place to live. Take the mask off while you still have people around who want to see your face. Time compounds. This is the only law that never fails. The way you spend your Tuesday afternoon at 50 is the way you will feel when you are 80. If you spend today worrying about nonsense, you are training your brain to be an anxious, bitter old man. You are building a nervous system that won't know how to rest. But if you choose to drop the unnecessary weights now, you are building a sanctuary for your future self. If you're still here, listening to me in this office, it's because you're tired of the noise. You're looking for a way out of the trap you've built with your own hands. You still have leverage. You still have the power to put down the weights that are breaking your back. Awareness at 50 is a superpower because you can still act. Awareness at 81 is just a reflection on what could have been. You are at a crossroads. You can continue to care about ghosts, or you can start to care about the life that is actually happening inside your own skin. I want to invite you to stay with me on this journey. If these words felt like a weight being lifted, it's because your soul knows they are true. There is a way to age without the heavy baggage I carried for far too long. I'll be here, sharing what I've learned from the finish line so you can run your race a little lighter. If you feel called to live more simply, stay close to these messages. I'm not here to give you tips. I'm here to help you wake up. Subscribe if you're ready to stop performing and start living. Before you leave this video, I want you to do one thing for your future self. It's a small act, but it matters. Write a comment below and name just one thing. One worry, one grudge, or one status symbol that you realize won't matter when you are 81. Name it. Write it down. and then leave it here. Don't take it back into your day with you. If you don't name it, you'll carry it back into tomorrow. Let this be the place where you start to let go. Time moves quietly, but the decisions you make in this moment will echo for decades. Do not wait for old age to simplify your life. Do it now, while you still have the strength to enjoy the freedom. One day you will sit in a chair like this one. You won't care about the money, the arguments, or the titles. You will only care about whether you were brave enough to be happy while the sun was still up. Don't waste another year. Live in a way that your older self will thank you for. This is your life. Don't miss it while you're busy worrying about it.